culture. Gemera Hashiv. Tahaguma. So I'm just going to chat a little bit, not so much in the metaphysical realm, but more on a personal level of communication within community. So just going to start with call-ins and call-outs. So a call-out is when you speak to falter and stop an action that is happening in that moment that is inappropriate. So to call out is to be like, hey man, that's not cool, boom. And you stop the action from happening in that moment very firmly, very abruptly. A call in, though, is best done with consent. Call in is when there's been some behaviors that you've noticed that have been uncomfortable for you or others, and you really love and care about someone, and you want to discuss some of these things with them so that you can help them highlight their shadow and see, because we all have a shadow. We can't get away from it. There's going to be behaviors that trigger people all along the way, and it's important to speak your truth, though. So using language like my truth is also very important in one of these processes, because you're speaking about your truth, your personal feelings, and what is going on for you. So keeping out of those statements like, you did this that made me feel that. When this behavior happened, I had this response in my person. My truth is that this behavior is problematic in these ways, and I wanted to bring this to your attention. Calling it a behavior because behaviors can change, and knowing that these are behaviors. To demonize someone or ostracize someone because of one wrong behavior is called globalization. And 10% of the time, humans make mistakes. It's one of the best ways we learn. So a call in is a really effective way to assist people in digesting comfortably some of these behavioral adjustments they might not be consciously aware of, patterns from family dynamics or relationship dynamics that they're inverting and possibly doing harm to others in a way, and they need to become conscious of it. So the aspect of a call-in is to ask for consent. Can we talk sometime? So instead of just being like, hey man, I've got some things, blah, 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 blah. Maybe the person isn't in an emotional headspace to do that right in that moment. So asking them, hey, I've had some things come up, and I'd like to have a conversation with you about it sometime soon. Do you have time to discuss this? Giving them the option of a public or private space to do this. It definitely, say it's, just so that they know maybe they don't want you in their home when they're discussing this. Maybe they do want to be in their home. Maybe they want to be in a park so that they don't feel trapped. Just being aware of your community members as well, of where their things lie. When you do sit them down to speak with them, it's always good to start off with 5 positive things. This I really appreciate in your behaviors. I really appreciate this about your human. You're really exceptional in these ways. This I really love and I really appreciate, and I see you and witness you in these ways. Then you bring in the problematic behavior. So you're doing it with love. It's going to come like a punch to some people depending on what they are. So people that have a lot of cancer in their chart will initially be defensive. It's just an aspect of the astrology of cancers. If someone has a numerology that has a 3, even the gentlest of criticism is going to boom, hit them like a punch in the gut and take their wind out of them. So these things to be aware of with who you're approaching, how sensitive is this person, and yeah, just doing it with love. My truth is that this behavior has been triggering and I think possibly harmful, and maybe is something that you would like to adjust in the future. Then closing with, not just focusing on the problems, going back to what I appreciate about you, what I love, what I see. Now, as the person who is receiving the feedback, apologies are wonderful, but disowns everything that has been said. So I'm sorry, but, and then proceeding to defend yourself for the behavior that you did and the reasons why I have trauma, I did this, I did that. It actually devalues the apology. So if you are being corrected, try to just breathe in, hear the truth in the statements, adjust your behaviors, apologize, and leave it at that. Do not come back with a but and a full-on defense, because this person has just put themselves out there in a vulnerable space. to tell you, to speak to you about this. And if you come back with a bunch of defense, then you're not going to necessarily be heard, and they are not going to feel heard and validated about what they're bringing forward. When you are calling in somebody, though, always want to finish with love, with the things that you do see. You want to finish with, I've seen lots of growth in you. I know that you're capable. I understand your history and the layers of difficulty that you've been through. I just want to bring you this with love and appreciation. Being accountable for our behaviors is tricky in our society because it's very black and white. You are good or you are bad. And we have this very firm line around that. So that's where then just letting the person know that it's not all black and white, that there is gray, and we all have our good behaviors and our behaviors that we are not conscious of, and negative behaviors, because that's just our shadow. That is our truth of human experience. So with love, always with love. And like correcting a child, when you correct them, you give them a correction, quickly change the subject and you can say, tell me something good. Name 3 things that are good. Bring it back to a positive, gratuitous space. If someone calls you in, give them a lot of gratitude. It takes a lot of strength to sit down and to articulate what has been going on for you that has been harmful to you. So thank them. Sometimes people come with a lot of force, so in those moments just breathe in and sort out what is the truth in this and what are the kicks and the balls that have nothing to do with you. Sometimes the kicks and the balls come in just because the person isn't used to being heard, and they come in with a big swing to get the momentum enough to be able to say something. In those moments, you do not have to own everything. You are not bad. You have behaviors and you have a shadow like any other human does. And we live in a very black and white, good, bad society. You are not bad. You are a human having a human experience. So step up, though, be accountable, and instead of saying, I'm sorry, I will never, and never is a hard line that can be broken. Just say, I am sorry, and then take note of those behavioral changes that you want to do. You don't need to necessarily tell the person all that you're going to do, because then you're setting up this contract around this moment where it could be broken. You will be tested time and time again at how well you are doing with your shadow behaviors. There will be moments for you to check yourself. Your shadow will rise up, and those are moments where you breathe in and you check yourself, and you take the time to know, okay, what am I feeling? What's going on here? Am I still talking to this person in front of me, or am I now talking to my uncle? What is my mind spinning, and do I need to voice these things, or do I need to take 5? So checking in with your physical self, the responses that you have when you go into defense, and knowing deeper about yourself around your numerology, your astrology, things like this. In human design, if someone is a projector in human design, they do much better with a one-on-one rather than being spoken to when there's a group around. So things like this, there's all sorts of ways that we can know ourselves as a human experience here. And just when we are coming across aspects of community and relationship that have flare-ups, always remembering to stay calm, finding your truth, where your needs not being met, what's going on, what needs to be said, and how can you get your needs met. Accepting no, and then figuring out, okay, if this person, which I hope to get my needs met from, isn't able to meet my needs and they have to say no, then where am I able to provide those needs for myself or another aspect of community? Always with love. Bless you on your journey. It's a human process, and we're beautiful creatures, very complex.